Thank y'all for tuning back in inside of the press box. This is your spiritual bank account, my spiritual bank account. Listen, man, let me go and get straight to this deposit right here. Because it's been coming up in my real life like 3 or 4 times in the last 2 or 3 weeks, to where I want to ask y'all, why do y'all think preachers, reverend, ministers don't supposed to get paid? Why do y'all want to see all of the ministers, all the preachers broke? And why do you think they supposed to preach for free? Where did y'all find this at in your Bibles, or how did y'all come to this conclusion that we'll see who the real preachers is when they do it for free? Preachers preach for free every day, all day. When you got the Spirit of the Lord dwelling within you and you have been called to the ministry, you're not always preaching inside of no building. So do you know how many times that a servant of God preaches for free, works his ministry for free, has charitable moments of speech for free? Why y'all think that the pastor's supposed to be broke, man? I don't understand that. I've had people, like I say in my real life, say, I'm not giving a dime to a preacher. I'm not putting a dime in church. That sound like somebody that goes to the strip club. I ain't finna tip no stripper. So you won't come in and look at the naked woman, but you don't want to tip her. You want to come to where she work at while she laboring, but you don't want to. That's what that sound like. That's the same kind of impoverished, broke mentality. That's not an abundant mindset. And I don't understand where it comes from. What I do? I think it comes from the ideal of there have been pastors, preachers, ministers, reverends that have been inside of these congregations, that have been leaders of these congregations, that have mishandled the funds. They may not have been a righteous teacher. They might not have been an honest teacher. They might not have been just doing right according to the standards of the Lord of God or of the ministry as a whole. You might have felt like they've been robbing your grandma of her tithe money for 30 years. And so now you feel like every preacher should not get paid. Do you go to your job for free? Do you go sit down at that desk for free? Do you go get in that cubicle? Do you get in that warehouse? Do you drive that truck? Do you do whatever it is you do for free? Or do you expect some type of payment for your work? Now, a servant of God, a minister, someone who is at the front and a leader, a speaker for those that are seeking salvation, that are seeking spiritual counsel, that is the highest job, I would think, on the planet. What gets more higher than being a guide or being a leader for someone's spiritual journey to get one nearer to God? What can possibly be higher than that? What job can be higher than that? And why do we think that you're supposed to be broke doing it? Where did that come from? Why do we think that? Was it because y'all think Jesus turned over the tables when in the Bible because of that verse right there? Is that why? I'm curious to know, because tell me this. A man that has a woman and a family says, I've been called to do the Lord's work. How is this man going to feed his family if he's not supposed to receive any wages for it? What woman is going to stay with her husband He say, I'm finna go, the Lord called me to the ministry. I'm finna go preach the gospel, and I ain't get no money out of it. So I'm finna be at home, in my Bible, studying, meditating, writing my sermons, just doing all the ministry work, putting all this time and energy into the ministry, but I'm not gonna get anything out of it. Baby, I'm gonna do this for free. She gonna be like, where she is? Well, I'm finna go and go find somebody else to pay these bills and take care of these kids, because I didn't sign up to start to live a life of lack, because everybody's thinking you're supposed to preach for free. I don't understand why we would act like that. What sense does that make? That would probably run people off from the ministry. That would probably turn people off from the kingdom. Is to think that the leader inside of these institutions, inside of these temples, churches, they looking like they can barely, they ribs showing, stomach touching their back. How is that even attractive to someone seeking the Most High? Make it make sense, man. We gotta get out of that mindset of, hey, preacher got more than me. Preacher driving this. Maybe God said here, you have done a great job being a servant. Maybe that's part of the blessings that God has appointed for them. I just don't understand why people think preachers aren't supposed to get paid, man. I also understand a little bit from what I said earlier. People need to be healed from their past trauma. Maybe they were up under a church that never fixed anything. They took the treasury money and tricked it all off. And now you mad because the church, your church experience was tainted by a couple of bad actors. And now it's taken away from the sole purpose of the church in itself, and that is to grow and be fruitful. We need to be healed, and I don't think that people see clearly that say preachers supposed to be broke. Yeah, we got the Creflo dollars. We know about all of the prosperity preachers that only preach monetary gain. But we're talking about the ones that are truly teaching salvation and that living abundant lives. Stop judging them folks, man, by what you don't have. You're not robbing God by keeping your tithe money in your pocket. You could be failing the test. That's why they say it's better to give than to receive. You could be failing the test because you are refusing to give. And it's out of your lack, out of your mindset of brokenness. Change your mindset. You know what I'm saying? Change your mindset. And stop worrying about the preacher's money. If that ain't where you want to be at, don't go there. But having that mindset that preacher's supposed to be broke, a poor righteous teacher, nah, man, we're supposed to be abundant teachers. We're supposed to be prosperous teachers. You know what I'm saying? God is not a God. Mine is not a God of poverty. My God is a God of everlasting riches. And I'm on my fair share of it. Thank y'all for tuning in. I'm out of here.